For what purposes does the gentleman from New York seek recognition?
Madam Speaker, I move that the House suspend the rules and pass the bill H.R. 4098, the Secure Federal File Sharing Act, as amended.
The clerk will report the title of the bill.
H.R. 4098, a bill to require the Director of the Office of Management and Budget to issue guidance on the use of peer-to-peer file sharing software to prohibit the personal use of such software by government employees and for other purposes.
Pursuant to the rule, the gentleman from New York, Mr. Towns, and the gentleman from California, Mr. Issa, each will control 20 minutes. The Chair recognizes the gentleman from New York.
Mr. Speaker, I ask unanimous consent that all members may have 5 legislative days in which to revise and to extend their remarks.
With no objection.
Mr. Speaker, I yield myself as much time as I may consume.
The gentleman is recognized.
The bill we are now considering, H.R. 4098, Secure Federal File Sharing Act, is intended to improve the cybersecurity of federal systems in response to a series of troubling breaches of confidential information. It requires the Director of Office of Management and Budget to issue new guidance prohibiting the use of open network peer-to-peer file sharing software on all federal computers and networks, including those of contractors working on the government's behalf. Peer-to-peer file sharing software allows users to instantly connect with each other to search and copy electronic files, most commonly music and movies. The committee has been investigating the dangers of peer-to-peer file sharing software for 9 years. During that time, we discovered a frightening amount of child pornography, thousands of personal tax filings, medical records, and highly sensitive government information, including the location of a Secret Service safe house for the first family and the electronic schematic for Marine One, all available on open peer-to-peer networks to millions of users around the world. What's clear is that as the popularity of file sharing has grown, so have the privacy and security risks for the federal government. Those risks are simply too great to ignore. H.R. 4098 would codify an existing OMB memorandum prohibiting federal employees from using certain peer-to-peer file sharing programs and strengthen that policy by extending it to include federal contractors working on the government's behalf. This is a good bill, and I strongly encourage my colleagues to join me in supporting this good bill. Mr. Speaker, I reserve the balance of my time.
Gentleman reserves. Gentleman from California.
Mr. Speaker, I yield myself such time as I may consume.
Gentleman is recognized.
Mr. Speaker, I join with the chairman on a bipartisan basis to support this important legislation. As the chairman said, who has, quite frankly, done an inordinate amount of work on this, including multiple hearings over a period of time, although we have succeeded in some limited way in addressing this problem, when we revisited it after more than a year, we discovered some of the examples that the chairman gave us, including the first family safe house being made vulnerable. Mr. Speaker, as you can imagine, everything we do in government, everything we order in government has a cost. The CBO has scored this one at $10 million over its life, about $2 to $3 million a year. What is the cost of the loss of the president? What is the cost of a soldier's orders to deploy being made public? What is the cost of your tax returns being made public? What is the cost to sensitive national defense information, or in fact the leaking of people who are in the clandestine service? All of that has been shown to be at risk as long as peer-to-peer continues to operate on the federal system. So, Mr. Speaker, directing the Office of Management and Budget to create the guidance for prohibiting download, installation by government employees of these pieces of software, which are essentially spy software on behalf of those who sell this information and sell access to this information, is in fact essential. File sharing within the federal workforce and within Congress is closely monitored. We do have the ability to do file transfer protocol in a secure way. Clearly, though, as our hearings have shown, those who market this software to the public, usually for free, do so with backdoors deliberately there that make it enticing to those who want access, and that's how they're run. Our hearings have shown that the very players who will provide you for free peer-to-peer so that you can get thousands of videos, plenty of music, and exchange pictures, often do so specifically so that you unwittingly open up all of your information. Mr. Speaker, the American people deserve to have the information entrusted to us, their private information kept private. Without this important legislation, that private information is consistently being made public through backdoor software installed by well-meaning individuals who only intended to share their summer pictures and not release the information of soldiers in harm's way. So I urge strongly the support for this legislation. Reserve the balance of my time.
The gentleman reserves. The gentleman from New York.
Mr. Speaker, I want to commend the staff. I want to commend the ranking member of the full committee, Congressman Issa, who worked very closely with us to get us to this point. And I also want to point out that it's how important it is when you work together, that you can pull things together and get them to the floor. And I want to salute him for his work on this as well. And again, all the staff members who participated in helping us to get here today. I reserve the balance of my time.
Gentleman reserves. The gentleman from California.
I yield myself such time as I may consume.
Gentleman is recognized.
Mr. Chairman, it is you that we owe a great debt of thanks to. You've championed this. You've made sure both at the subcommittee and the full committee that we've had a thorough evaluation. We've given the companies who claim that they are well-meaning opportunity repeatedly to show that they could fix or would fix their software, only to discover they did not fix their software. So I join with you in commending our staff on both sides of the aisle for the hard work they did, for the individual research, and some of the other organizations who were concerned about the safety of the American people's vital information, for helping us shed light on this. I know this is a good piece of legislation. I know we're going to have to work to get it through the Senate. I look forward to doing that with you, Mr. Chairman, and yield back the balance of my time.
The gentleman yields back the balance of his time. The gentleman from New York.
Thank you, gentleman from California, the ranking member, for his kind words, and I yield back the balance of my time.
Gentleman yields back the balance of his time. The question is, will the House suspend the rules and pass H.R. 4098 as amended? Those in favor say aye. Those opposed, no. In the opinion of the chair, two-thirds being in the affirmative, the rules are suspended.
Mr. Speaker.
Gentleman from Georgia.
I ask for the yeas and nays.
The yeas and nays are requested. All those in favor of taking this vote by the yeas and nays will rise and remain standing until counted. A sufficient number having risen, the yeas and nays are ordered. Pursuant to Clause 8 of Rule 20 and the Chair's prior announcement, further proceedings on this motion will be postponed.